back to another Cooking with the Lineman video today. Today, as you probably saw in the video description, we will be tackling popcorn. See, we have two different ways you can make it. It really varies on how you like your popcorn. You can experiment yourself, but it's going to be fun either way.
So what we got today is some oil, salt, kernels.
Oh, oil.
This is for the end. And yeah.
That's a nice simple recipe. We'll get going right away. So you see we have the popcorn in the pot right here. Choose a nice decent sized pot, maybe a little bit taller than this, just to make sure you get the maximum poppage possible. And you're gonna take the kernel and you're just gonna pour them in there. Now
You want to make a nice solid layer. You don't want kernels to be stacked on top of each other. You want to make like a nice layer.
Yep.
So right here we have a little bit too much kernels, so we're just gonna take some out.
We're just gonna try and cover the entire bottom with one layer of kernels. And
it's okay if you have a little too much, a little, but it's to make it so that you're not burning a lot of kernels. There you go. Yeah.
And then you're gonna take your oil and you're gonna pour your oil in right away, because this is really what cooks the popcorn. So you see this, it's gonna start cooking and then popping. So you're gonna want to put this similar to the kernels. You're going to put enough to cover the bottom layer and no more, so that when you move it around, it doesn't really move. Any of the kernels move that much. So that's really good. That's how you want it.
See, like that?
Yep. One layer. All right, now we're gonna take it over to the stove. Now, as you can see, we're gonna turn this to high heat, and we're just gonna wait for the oil to cook up. And when we start hearing the oil cooking up, we're gonna start moving the pot around like this. Now, the type of oil that you can use, you can really use any type of oil, but what we suggest is canola oil, or like, if that's gonna be less healthy, unless you use like a extra virgin olive oil, that's gonna be really healthy. And you could even use melted butter, which we'll use for the next one. And that's probably the lowest down on the health scale. So we'll just wait for this to start popping. All right, as you can see here, there's a lot of steam building up from the oil being cooked. So every once in a while, you just want to lift it up and make sure it's all steamless, because that's going to affect the crispness of the popcorn, and you want your popcorn to be nice and crisp. Okay, as you can see, we got a couple kernels popping. Woo! And now that we got a couple popping, we're going to just start shaking the pot.
I want to make sure you're really evening out the heat on it.
Yeah, evening out the heat, and also when you have the kernels, you don't want them to be popped and then immediately burn. So you want to just keep them moving. As you can see, we're popping right at a voracious rate right here. So we're just going to keep this going, keep shaking it, and then bending it out every once in a while. And then put it back down until you can, there's like 1 to 2 seconds between pops. You can see we're overflowing a bit here. That means you just have to take some of it, get your bowl ready, and then just dump some of it out. Okay, and then put the lid back on. Keep shaking.
That's also why you want to use sometimes a bigger pot.
Okay, and then the heat is off now, so we can pour the rest of our kernels in our other bowl, which is over here. So you can see we finished our popcorn over here. We're going to take the rest of it, pour it into the bowl.
Yep.
And you see there's very little kernels left and very little burn. Now, right now is the prime time, because as it's really hot, the popcorn is going to be very conducive to other things. So when you take the oil and the salt, the popcorn's actually going to absorb it in the first bit, rather than just being on top of it. So let's mix it up.
Really want to make it sure it's really even.
Yep. And remember, too little is always better than too much. Because if you have too much, then it becomes so overpowering that it's uneatable. But if you have too little, then it's still eatable, even if it's not that strong.
Yeah, because then you could also add some if you.
And then a little house special, we like to add some hot tamales with our popcorn. So we're gonna add a little half right there, and the other half right there. And then we're gonna turn on the movie and enjoy. But not yet, because we have another style to make. All right, now that we finished out that type of popcorn, Elijah's gonna take us through another way of doing it.
All right, so you're gonna start off by putting some oil in. You're gonna want a layer on the bottom, kind of like the last one. Want to make sure it's nice and spread around. You also don't want it to be too thick, because then your popcorn just tastes really oily. So you got that nice layer of oil. I'll maybe put a little bit more. Just make sure it's really, yeah, there we go. You can kind of see it rolling around. And then we're gonna add just a few kernels. And then
You take it over to the stove.
all right, so then you take it over to the stove, and you got the few kernels in, so you're gonna put the lid on and just cook it on high until those kernels pop, because once those kernels pop, that lets you know that the oil is hot enough to cook all the other kernels. Okay, so we're gonna put this butter in the microwave and melt it so that we have it when the popcorn's ready. So you're gonna put it in for like, let's say a minute. And you're just gonna wait for it to really melt so that it adds nice butter to the popcorn. Okay, so the kernels that we put in there are just starting to pop. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this lid off, and we're gonna pour a layer of kernels in. And just be careful when you're doing it. Be careful when you're doing it because it's hot oil. So now it's nice and covered. Make sure that it's a nice even layer, so kind of shake it around a little bit. Okay, so like the last one, you're also gonna want to make it invented a little so you're getting nice crisp popcorn. Because when it's got all that air in there, it's getting really moist, and so it's not gonna be as crisp. All right, so the kernels are starting to pop, and what we're gonna do is once you get a little bit bigger of a layer of actual popped kernels, so you get the popcorn, we're gonna start shaking it up like this. Make sure the kernels are really moving around so they're not getting burned, and so that they're staying evenly on the heat. All right, so now we have a lot of this popcorn, and it's still popping a little bit. So it's slowing down a bit in the amount that's popping. So once it starts to get like this far apart, or a little farther, then that's when there's almost no kernels left on the bottom. So make sure to shake it up again. Just make sure all the kernels are sifted through the bottom. Now that you hear really slow popping, we're gonna turn it off. Okay, so we're gonna take this, be careful it's hot. We're just gonna pour it in here. And that's pretty good. Make sure to wash your dishes while you're going through. So, yeah.
Okay, now we're dressing the popcorn. Add a little salt.
Then you got that butter you melted earlier. That's like a stick. Just gonna pour it over.
And just
Make
like
sure they circularly do it so that you're getting it round. Then you're just gonna want to mix it.
just like the other one.
You can mix it with your hands. Just make sure your hands are nice and washed, because you're gonna be eating this. So.
All right, we show you how to make popcorn and breakfast burritos. Now, the next step is cue up your favorite movie and click play. And take the popcorn and just go ham. All right, remember to like and subscribe. You'll come back and watch another video.